Imagine three of the most adorable creatures you've ever seen: a floppy eared rabbit, a loyal, energetic pup, and a playful yet curious kitten, suddenly outfitted with the metal plating, lethal weapons, and a single brutal mission: kill or be killed. You'll witness gentle eyes turn cold, soft paws crushed beneath armored boots, and innocence shattered by a single command code. By the time these pets break their tether and rampage through a city that never saw them coming, your heart will be pounding, your emotions raw, and you'll be begging yourself to look away. Only you can't. Because deep down you know, these aren't monsters, they're victims. And once you recognize the truth, every act of violence becomes a tragedy. How's it going? It's Ryan, and I need to talk to you about this comic that just absolutely wrecked me. I stumbled across this comic called WE3 the other day, thinking I was picking up some fun sci-fi action comic about cyborg animals. And boy was I wrong. What I got instead was 3 issues that left me staring at a wall for 20 minutes afterwards, just processing everything. Okay, not that long, but you get the idea. Like, this isn't just a comic. It's an emotional, gut-wrenching punch that's wrapped in beautiful art that asks the kind of questions that stick with you long after you close the book. Questions about what it means to be human, about love, about the monsters we create, and whether they are even the real monsters at all. If you've never heard of WE3 by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly, you're about to understand why this story can redefine what you think about comics and what they're capable of. And I want to show you why. It starts with 3 animals who knew nothing but love: Bandit, Tinker, and Pirate. A dog, cat, and a rabbit living ordinary happy lives with families who adored them. But the military sees something different when they look at these innocent creatures. They see potential, raw material, the perfect soldiers waiting to be born. One by one, they're stolen from their homes and brought to a place where love doesn't exist, only cold science and colder ambition. What happens next is abomination. Living creatures turned into walking weapons through drugs, surgery, and cybernetic horror. They become WE3, efficient killing machines with the souls of beloved pets trapped inside mechanical shells. For a time, they're the perfect weapons: fast, intelligent, merciless, everything their creators wanted. But perfection is expensive, and when the program gets shut down, WE3 becomes expendable. Time for decommission. Time to die. That's when one scientist makes a choice that changes everything. The story opens with pure terror. A man runs through his house as something stalks him from within the vents, something that's been watching, waiting, and studying every person in the building. We see the panic in his eyes as he grabs guns, sweat pouring down his face, aiming both of them at the locked door. In desperation, he blasts it with bullets and kicks it down, confused by the silence. Then suddenly, a barrage of bullets tear through his body, disintegrating him completely. Nothing remains but blood and a single foot. 3 mysterious shapes move down the stairs, stepping over lifeless bodies scattered in the darkness. They exit into the night, and the house explodes behind them as they disappear into a metal van. This was an assassination, swift and brutal, carried out by something that moves like death itself. The next morning, newspapers report that Guerrera has been assassinated. A van marked with the name Pest Supplies drives past the ironic disguise for what's really inside. Through the windows, we glimpse high-tech equipment, computers, and 2 technicians monitoring something we can't quite see yet. The van passes through a gate marked UCAF Experimental Area Danger. Inside the facility, we finally see those mysterious shapes who they really are: a dog, cat, and a rabbit, but not as nature intended them. They're encased in mechanical armor, their bodies twisted by technology into something that shouldn't exist. Dr. Trendle introduces Senator Washington to the program, starting with the rat borgs, entire colonies of surgically modified rats working together to assemble jet engines from spare parts in just 48 hours. We're replacing expensive, outmoded workforce with efficient animal slaves, he says, with disturbing pride. He demonstrates remote-controlled rats as living weapons, and he takes out a remote controller. He controls one of the rats, wielding a screwdriver like a weapon in replacement of his entire head and face, attacking and killing another one of the rats. "Say hello to man's new best friends," he says with a chilling smile. But the real horror comes when Dr. Barry, with a sinister smile, is introduced along with the higher animal prototypes. The rabbit named Pirate is designed to deliver mines and poison gas. The dog named Bandit is a walking tank. The cat, also known as Tinker, is a lethal stealth machine. But these aren't just weapons, they're conscious beings forced into roles as killers. When Senator Washington approaches the dog and asks, "Hello, how are you today?" the response sends chills down your spine. "I'm good." The dog replies in a slow mechanical voice. "Are you good too, Mr. Washington?" The words come out broken, abrupt, and eerily pronounced. This creature was given the ability to speak, but never taught how to be anything other than a weapon. The senator asks if he can escape, but the dog is said to be loyal and responds with heartbreaking simplicity. Good dog is good dog. It seeks the approval, validation, and basically the every need that every dog has to know that they're loved. Meanwhile, the cat hisses, paws stink, hungry. Unlike the dog, the cat has retained its attitude and its independence. The cat's feisty and never learned any manners, Dr. Barry explains, as if manners matter when they turn all the living creatures into killing machines. But okay. The senator's decision comes swift and cold. We will feed them up, all of them. Give them what they want. They've earned it. I'm afraid the Guerra operation was the end of the line for these animals. They've killed the last tin pot dictator. We're now decommissioning WE3, and that's in order. Dr. Barry's world crumbles. But this is my life's work, she protests. But the senator is unmoved. The animals are obsolete, he says. They need to be replaced. As the confused animals ask for food, the senator reveals his true feelings. What kind of lunatic would teach a killing machine to talk? Put them out their misery. Behind the scenes, another doctor mentions Weapon 4, foreshadowing an even greater horror yet to come. That clinical word, decommission, is just another way of saying murder. They're going to kill them like they're broken equipment. Back in the lab, Dr. Barry stares at her computer screen. The cursor hovers over safe security codes for animal restraint locks. Her hand trembles. She's hesitant, torn between duty and conscience. In the moment that changes everything, she makes her choice. She doesn't save the codes. Instead, she grabs the syringes and supplies from the lockers. As she walks past Dr. Trendle and the Russian workers, he stops her. Are you alright? He asks with a false concern. It's best not to get attached to those things, you know. I'll do what I can to find a place for you. The scientists rush into the lab where WE3 are kept. One looks at the computer, confused why the restraint codes haven't been completed. The confusion turns to terror as the animals break free. Security footage shows scientists being flung back, attacked, left dead on the ground. Security rushes in, but they're torn to pieces too. More workers throughout the lab are destroyed. Blood is everywhere. Dr. Barry reaches the exit of the building, whispering to herself, "Kill me. I deserve it." Behind her, we three leap out the building into the starry night, finally free, but more lost than ever. The military response is immediate and overwhelming. Army men prep for the hunt while Dr. Trendle frantically makes phone calls. If I hadn't stopped to talk to her, who knows what would have happened. I should have known the way she was shaking. None of this should be traced to Senator Washington. No one has to know this ever happened. Dr. Barry sits in an interrogation chair as they explain the reality. Those animals can't last more than a few days without their medication. They're not pet animals like you see them. They're surgically engineered biomodified organisms armed by the Air Force and trained to kill. They lack the fear of death that sets limits on human behavior. And that's the only problem. They won't go down without a fight. Meanwhile, in the forest clearing, the three animals grapple with their new reality as well. Pirate asks where the boss is, and Tinker says that they should just stay and eat here, but Bandit argues they're in danger and they need to go back home. Tinker says they are no longer home, as helicopters fly towards them in the distance. The first military encounter is brutal. Peaceful rabbits graze on a hill when Pirate yells at them to run. Helicopter gunships rain down fire as We3 charges past, accidentally splitting the innocent rabbits in half. A horrifying reminder of what they become. Back at the army base, soldiers are commanded to proceed with extreme caution. The dog alone is equipped with ground-to-air missiles. These animals are trained to attack in ways humans can't comprehend. Their enhanced senses making them experience time and motion differently than any human ever could. The soldiers aim for their heads, but in an instant, Bandit charges through an army truck, biting and tearing every soldier apart. Tinker moves through the trees like death itself, shooting sharp needles that pierce soldiers' eyeballs and split through the bone. Helicopters full of men are blown up by Pirate and consumed by the flames. Dr. Trendle watches the carnage with a twisted smile. This can't go on. Not like this. Men shouldn't be dying. That was the whole point of my work. No one has to die. Not when we have soldiers like these. He gestured to the cage of rats, with biotechnology parts surgically replacing their body parts. A train passes by as We3 find themselves on a bridge. Pirate says his tail is bad and it needs to be fixed. Bandit insists that they need to go home and fix it, but Tinker argues there is no home. They then get into a small fight, and Bandit says that they need to obey, but Tinker is saying no, the boss stinks. Pirate interrupts, calling them old friends just as they hear a noise. An army of weaponized rats appear on the bridge, attacking all of them. Bandit tears some of them viciously in half while the rats swarm over their bodies. Pirate floats above, poisoning the rats when he sees a train coming towards them. Bandit and Tinker look back to see Pirate say "oh no" before exploding the whole bridge with his bombs, sending the train, Bandit, and Tinker all falling down as they plummet. They all survive the explosion, and Bandit drags a man floating in the water back to safety on land, telling himself he's a good dog because it's helping. But the horror of what they become is inescapable. Half of the man's body is gone, reduced to limbs as a bird comes out and eats the flesh from the spine. Even when trying to do good, they are unaware of the power and the consequences they have with their actions. The first real test of their remaining humanity comes when they encounter a suburban family, a father and his young son near the truck with the family dog barking aggressively. Pirate approaches with his mechanical voice, struggling to communicate basic needs. His tail needs to be fixed, he's hungry, and he wants to go home. The boy with the innocent curiosity only children possess, suggests that maybe it's an alien, but the father sees the only mechanical horror for what it is. This weaponized creature approaching his child. He raises his gun while his dog continues barking threats. "Don't shoot," the boy pleads, but his father orders him to get back in the truck. Bandit charges forward, shouting at Pirate to stop, recognizing the danger. For a moment, Pirate listens to his friend and stops his advance as a glimpse of the obedient pet he once was. Then, the father pulls the trigger. The bullet tears through Pirate's head, damaging his speech center, scrambling the circuits that let him communicate. The father yells for his son to run, but it's too late. Bandit and Tinker explode in fury. In seconds, both the man and his dog are torn apart, split in half by claws and mechanical violence. What follows is heartbreaking. Pirate can no longer speak English, only vocalize sounds that can't be translated, mechanical whimpers, and electronic static where words should be. On a hill overlooking the carnage, Bandit sits repeating bad dog over and over. His programming and his conscience are at war with each other. He knows this isn't what good dogs do, but he can't stop the violence that's been built into his very being. The military response escalates dramatically. Dr. Trendle speaks urgently with army officers. The stakes now impossibly high. We three are now within 5 miles of the city of 800,000 people. The medication that keeps him stable is running out, but the time has run out faster. We can no longer wait for the medication to run out, the officer declares. They're ready to deploy their ultimate solution. Trendle strongly disagrees, his voice filled with dread. Weapon 4 is highly aggressive and still in training. You cannot deploy an animal weapon anywhere near civilian. But the officer's response is chilling. These animals were designed to destroy one another on battlefields. Those wars of tomorrow you spoke about to the senator, they've already begun today. Dr. Barry is brought in wearing handcuffs, asking to make a phone call. Trendle confronts her with bitter accusations about the deaths she's caused, telling her she should be grateful they still need her to lure the animals into position. "Oh no," Barry whispers as she sees what they're about to unleash. "Not like this." WE4 emerges as a massive, bloody, modified pit bull. There's no trace of the pet he once was, no remaining gentleness or capacity for love. It's everything WE3 was meant to be, but failed to become. A perfect killing machine with no conscience, no memories of being loved, and no conflict between programming and heart. Rain falls as the 3 damaged animals seek shelter in an abandoned building. A homeless man sits nearby about to eat a hamburger when he's shocked by the sight of these wounded creatures crying that they're hungry. "I ain't your master, boy, and you ain't mine," he says, gently offering food. "But there you go. Good dog. You won't bite unless you have to, right?" Bandit's desperate question breaks your heart. Am I a good dog? The homeless man promises to see what he can do. Even as Tinker, weakened without medication, complains the meat stinks. Bandit insists the man is a good man, and Pirate remains inaudible, his speech permanently damaged. It seems that part of the bullet has also damaged his brain. But the army arrives, offering the homeless man a reward for his help. They say that he could use a lot of money for the position he's in. His response is defiant. "I didn't see anything. You're all fascists." After seeing that the homeless man won't help them out, they arrest him anyways, removing the one person who showed the animals genuine kindness. Dr. Trendle explains that the animals should be weakened by now, without their daily medication. Dr. Barry begs him not to proceed, but it's too late. WE4's restraints are released. Inside the shed, Bandit tells the others to stay put, but the pirate wanders outside and finds himself face to face with WE4. The massive creature glares at him with determined eyes, ready for battle. WE4 attacks without words, only mechanical sounds and fury. Tinker climbs one of the broken trains as WE4's teeth sink deep through Pirate's entire body and armor. Bandit cries watching his friend suffer. In his final moments, Pirate manages to whisper up before detonating a bomb, sacrificing himself to damage WE4 in the explosion. "We got one," an army officer reports. "I praise the cat." Bandit runs towards Dr. Barry's voice as she comforts and apologizes to him. But soldiers with sniper rifles have them surrounded, aiming at Bandit's head. "Nobody move," they command. Bandit cries to Barry that he's a good dog. that we three are good, that they just want to go home. Through tears, Barry tells him something profound. Your name is not one, revealing that throughout this horror, he's been called by his military designation rather than his real name. Your name is Bandit. She tells him to run just as she throws herself in front of the bullets, sacrificing her life to save him. As Barry dies, Bandit blames himself. Bad dog, bad dog, bad dog. The guilt and rage consuming him as he becomes increasingly unhinged. The army officer watches in fascination as the bioengineered Bandit emits 10 times normal levels of alpha dog pheromones, turning him into a berserker. We4 engages and Trendle explains that Barry was gifted. She taught them to work as a team, as Tinker proves this by dropping above, slashing We4's eyes. Bandit charges the massive creature through a wall into oncoming traffic. Trendle shouts for them to terminate We4 before civilians are hurt, but the damaged creature goes berserk, devouring an entire car in one bite. In a moment of twisted irony, Bandit saves the army officer from We4's attack, still programmed to see himself as a good dog when he helps someone. The other soldiers gun down and obliterate We4's head, ending the rampage. By morning, Bandit and Tinker have escaped through the tunnels. Tinker suggests that they should stay hidden, but Bandit believes they're home now. They don't need to run anymore. As they return to the original laboratory, now being demolished, nothing left but rubble and memories. Soldiers find him and pursue him inside the empty facility. Bandit's leg armor is broken, and he realizes something crucial. The armor is not Bandit. As soldiers close in, both animals understand what they must do. They can't fit through a small escape hole because of their mechanical shells. With determination, they strip away their armor. As the mechanical parts all explode, Tinker and Bandit successfully escaped and now finally free from their weaponized prisons. We see them later, malnourished but alive. We see mysterious footsteps walking towards them, saying, "This is where you've been at, huh?" A newspaper headline reveals the aftermath. Scientists' testimony seeing Senator campaign. Animal soldiers shocked, with Trendle's face on the cover of it. Walking outside, Trendle encounters the same homeless man from before, who now cares for Bandit and Tinker. "Those are some fine animals," Trendle says. "Yeah, they just need love and attention and a few scraps of food," the homeless man replies. He then asks for some spare change, saying, "We could all use a break." Trendle then gives him some money and walks away. The animals are healthy now, no longer malnourished, no longer wearing any part of their experimental armor. They're just a dog and a cat again, damaged by their experience, but finally, truly free. We3 reminds us how thin the line is between protector and predator. Bandit, Tinker, and Pirate started as loving companions before being transformed into something heartbreaking. Living creatures turned into weapons through cold science. But their final acts revealed something ironically human. Pirate's sacrifice doesn't come from programming. It springs from pure empathy. That moment just hit me, as our creations reflect whether we choose compassion or cruelty. There's a bitter irony in how these weaponized animals showed more humanity than their human creators ever did. They love, mourn, and sacrifice for each other. Meanwhile, the humans treat them like they're defective equipment that can be discarded. Morrison combines animal rights and genetic warfare to create something that cuts deeper than either issue alone could. When Bandit keeps asking, "Am I a good dog?" he's not just seeking approval, he's asking the fundamental question we all ask. Am I worthy of love? When Pirate's whiskers trembled in that final moment, I felt something break in me too. Comics don't just entertain, they hold up a mirror to our choices, to our capacity for both creation and destruction. We3 may only be 3 issues, but it stays with you, asking the hard questions. Like, if love can survive being weaponized, what's our excuse for losing our humanity? If you never picked up We3, I highly recommend it. Let it remind you just how powerful and meaningful these types of stories really are, as some things just honestly cannot be captured in any other way. This isn't just a comic about cyborg animals. It's about what happens when we turn innocence into a weapon, and whether love can survive even the most horrific transformations. As always, thanks for hanging out, and it was nice seeing you, my friend. I'll see you again next time.